Welcome to A Guided Life. Join empowerment influencers Johnita and Trish Rock as they present no fluff conversations about life, empowerment, spirituality, and freedom.
Each episode is off the cuff exploration of the state of the world and its energies. So come along for the roller coaster ride of this episode and see where it takes you. Here we go. Hang on.
We are live.
That was the fastest ever.
I know, right? It's fantastic. Just another tick. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Yay, Trish is back. You don't have to listen to my whiny voice the entire segment this time.
And thank you for taking the reins last time. Yes, my little Rosie wasn't very well at all. And Jess is here. Hey, Jess. So, Rosie wasn't very well at all. So thank you for taking the reins last time and did a fantastic job. And we're going to talk about optimism again because it's Optimism Month.
It is. It is. How have you been going being optimistic this month?
It's been testing.
Yep.
Hey, Janelle. It's been testing, but here's what I was kind of thinking this morning, knowing that we were going to talk about it again. I'm like, what have I learnt this month so far? And I've learnt so far that I can choose my optimal mood. And opt is the first word of optimism. And I thought, what is optimism? I mean, I don't believe in fake optimism or fake positivity. It's just bullshit. It's like, I'm going to try to be happy. It's like, you try, you do or you do not.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in fake optimism either. And you were talking about fake it till you make it. I think there's some merit to that, but not faking how you feel. But yeah, I've this morning I'm like, what's a sentence I can wrap that up in? And I thought, choosing the optimal feeling that makes me feel good. And then I can be optimistic about something, I guess.
Yeah.
But you and I are just optimistic people, so we've always kind of got the best view of everything that we're doing. So.
We try to, and I was talking last time about manufactured, whether it's manufactured and, how we manufacture that. And I was talking to a friend of mine this morning about, how do you manifest something if you don't know how it truly feels? And, and another friend of mine was talking the other day and he put on Facebook, face it till you make it. And I'm like, you got to keep facing it. You can't fake it. Yeah. Because it's, facing that fear, facing that whatever it is to get you to the other side. It's the only way to do it. And the lessons will just keep coming until you face it, But it was
that actually sits better with me than fake it, because facing it is, look, I am scared, but I'm going to go through it anyway. Whereas faking it is, I'm not scared, but really you are.
Yeah, and your outcome's not ever going to be the same.
Yeah,
it's not ever going to be the same. So to choose something that you do feel optimistic about, and then say, okay, I feel optimistic about this, so I'm going to know how I feel when I do this activity, and then I'm going to borrow that feeling and make me feel the same way with this. And then that way, at least you've got some sort of anchor point or a memory hook on your emotional stability to be able to get to where you need to be with the optimism. So,
well, that's like an optimal feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like feeling the optimal way to move forward. So, yeah. But, I think there also needs to be some kind of trust in the universe as well, because I'll use my example, because whenever I say some people or whatever, it's like, just get a bit more specific. I'll just talk about me. When I was in victim mode, I wasn't optimistic about much.
Yeah.
Because I had no trust. I had no trust in anything because everything was against me, right? the world hated me, universe hated me, everything hated me. So
Can't eat worms.
Yeah.
Big fat hairy ones, long skinny something or other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, and it's very hard to be optimistic.
Yeah.
And I guess I've had a few moments like that recently as well, you know, because moving forward in my business, I need to launch a couple of things. And I've still got fears of all the bloody rockets I've launched over the last 10 years that have gone, what? And I'm like, do I want to really fuel all this again for it just to fail again? So, I mean, there are things that come up for me as well. But, you know, when I get to that point where I'm facing that, not faking it, when I'm facing those fears and when my excitement for the project is greater than my fear, then I have optimism for the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess it's not pushing that anymore, not trying to push myself when I'm still a bit fearful, because not having optimism for a good result is not going to give you a good result. You're manifesting the wrong thing.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up to fail. And you know what? When you break it down like that, it's like, oh, yeah. But when you're in the thick of it, it's not really something that you think about. It's, you know, like, do I really want to, you know, in the past, I failed. My rocket's gone up. It's come straight back down to earth. And even though you're not consciously manifesting another fail, you kind of are, because you've got all that experience. So where do you draw the line between experience and being optimistic about this new venture or this new project or whatever it is? Could even be a relationship. Why not be launching a new service or product? So, you know, how do you, at what point do you say, yeah, like I've had these experiences and I've had these lessons and I'm grateful for them, and I'm going to kind of remember so I don't get super burnt. What did I take? What was my takeaway from this? But I also want to remain optimistic, because I don't, you know, I want to have a new relationship, or I want a new job, or I want to launch a product without that fear that it may go like it did in the past. So it's kind of hard to find that pivot point. I think it's kind of hard, because it's going to be different for everyone. It's not like, oh yeah, and you wake up on Tuesday morning after drinking this funny brown drink and all of your fears will be gone. You know, don't worry about it. It doesn't work like that. So I find that finding that pivot point.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Well, speaking of relationships, see, that feels a whole lot different to me, because I am optimistic. I do have those stages where I'm optimistic and I'm expecting it and I'm manifesting and, you know, I'm raising up to the energy of it, and then still nothing. And then my optimism is like, well, fuck that. That didn't work. And then I lose my optimism about it. And I'm not in a pessimistic state, but I'm not in an excited state.
It's just so real. It's real. That's how we all feel. I felt like that 1,000 times. God, how many times have I tried to quit my commercial job? I'm doing it. I'm so optimistic. Then I walk in there and shit hits the fan. I'm like, fuck, I can't leave now. Shit just hit the fan. What are they going to do if I walk out the door? You know? So what I want gets put on the back burner, because, you know, all my optimism that I had about leaving and about being able to pursue something that I'm really, really super passionate about, it stopped by an external. Every time. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it is hard to maintain, but it's
and I think we've got to remember we're just humans. I mean, we're not going to be, no matter how much, and this is another thing my friend and I were talking about today, no matter how much training we do, no matter how old we get, physical or spiritual, no matter what our experiences are, we're never going to stop learning. We're never going to stop going through challenges. We're humans. That's what we're supposed to do. So we're going to have those days where we're not 100% totally in the optimistic, you know, and it's unrealistic, really. It's unrealistic to remain there, because if you do have a fall, it can be quite, you know, earth-shattering. So
well, life is a contrast. So you will have a fall, because that's just what life is. Life is a contrast. Yeah, it's a big roller coaster. So I guess it's the
I just thought mine being the corkscrew.
Oh, it's corkscrew.
Certainly has been it sometimes. Yeah.
So in the things that you really trust and believe in, it's easy to have optimism. And the other things where you've fallen, it's difficult. You know, it just came to my mind, like I had a vision of when I'm 94, and just with all my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren and great-grandchildren around me. And so when I had that vision, I'm like, okay, well, I'm obviously going to be alive at 94. That's awesome. So because I trust that, I'm optimistic about it.
Yeah.
I just believe it. And I think if we believe something, we can be really optimistic about it. And but it's just that belief in it. So if you don't believe in it, face it. Face it. Do you believe in pushing through things, or is that not the ease of life that we could be in?
Look, I think the things that have happened to me in my life, whether they were felt negative at the time or felt positive at the time, but all the great things that have happened in my life, great by what I've achieved from it, have all been so easy. Buying houses, super easy. For me, it just flows. And it's not me manifesting for 6 months, I want this, I want that, I want this. It's like all the stars line up and everything just flows really easily. Anything that I've had to fight for, I fought for a job once. And 6 weeks and 4 freaking interviews and drug tests, and God, it was a pain in the ass. And I was at that point of giving up, and it was single-handedly the worst job I've ever had in my life. I had it for 8 months, and it was a horrible job. And anything that I've had to fight for, I fought for a relationship once. So I found the things that have come easily and effortlessly to me have been the greatest things that have just happened. They're just easy things, and I don't mean easy in terms of physical or emotional, ease, because some of them were, terrible situations that I found myself in. But I got out of them really relatively easy, so I think that the turning direction or change of direction points in my life have been really easy.
Did you have to, but in those times when it wasn't easy, did you have to fake the optimism?
I would never fake it. You can't fake your inner child. So faking till you make it doesn't work. Doesn't work in MLM either. But I think
so. Even though you were fighting to get that job, you must have had some level of optimism about getting it if you were fighting so hard to get it.
My optimism was to leave the one that I was in.
Okay. So that's
single mum. Had my own place, had my son. You can't just leave a job and not have one to go into. And we'd lost our director of mission, and I really loved the mission and values of the company. And once our director of mission was kind of forcibly moved out of her position and away from the company was never the same. And I just didn't feel like it was a community-based product service, and I just didn't feel like it was doing what I signed up for. And my own moral compass and my own humanitarian compass was no longer in alignment with that company, so I was pretty keen to get out.
And I guess the optimism was that you'd always found a job before, and so the optimism for finding the job was there.
Yeah. The fact that it took so long was probably, and I just waited, I didn't apply for anything else. I knew that the outcome was going to be positive. I didn't realise that I was getting out of the pan into the fire. And a lot of what was going on was just toxic behaviours through the management team that you're just not going to change. They can put 1,000 people into that role. It was never going to change unless the people above them changed. That wasn't going to happen. They're all drinking buddies. So But it did get me to Sydney, you know. So if I didn't have that shit job, I wouldn't be here in Sydney, and we love Sydney. So
that's
and
it,
that's
isn't
the
it?
thing. It's the flow, you know. It's the flow of things.
Everything leads to somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that's the you know, when you are having those dips in life, it's finding that optimal feeling to focus on rather than on what's happening, because you just end up in victim mode, which is no good for anyone, and you block every manifesting avenue when you're in that mode.
Because you also, there's a lot of confusion when you're in that mode, and you don't really know what to ask for, and you get that procrastinating state where, you know, like, the hell with everything sucks. So no matter what you manifest, everything's gonna suck. You just attracting more sucky shit to yourself.
Just so you can complain about it. That's how it works. It's like, see, I told you everything sucked in my life. Here's something else.
Here's some more sucky stuff. And
I'm very optimistic that more sucky stuff is going to come in.
Someone said to me once, how do you remain positive even when you're negative? I said, because I say I'll positively punch you in the face if you keep annoying me. And they're like, oh my God, you turned that into a positive. I'm like, yeah, because it's positively going to happen. But it flips the emotion as well, because you have a bit of a joke about it and it has less of an impact on you. They're still annoying you. You still want to punch them in the face. You're still positive that you want to punch them in the face, but it has a little bit of a different spin. You know, it's really hard to still be angry when you're giggling. So, sometimes it's a distraction from physically harming people. There was a situation at my commercial job recently, and it was an external company, and oh my goodness, I'm not really sure what they do over there, but I would never want to work for this particular company. And after the to and fro's of emails, and I called across to the CEO and his wife, and I said, you know that HR policy we wrote? And I said, yes. I said, it doesn't say anything about punching other companies, does it? No, not at all. And I'm like, right, got my bag, and they said, sit back down. I'm like, well, it just says I can't punch my colleagues. It doesn't say I can't go over there and say, what the hell are you doing? You know,
that's right.
Crazy. But I was very optimistic, and so were they. They had to make me sit back down. But very interesting. It's been an interesting month.
I've got the meaning of optimism here. It says, optimism is an attitude reflecting a belief or hope that the outcome of some specific endeavour or outcomes in general will be positive, favourable and desirable.
So positively punching someone in the face is not a bad thing. Actually, right to the dictionary definition. Just saying. You can justify violence every day of the week.
An attitude reflecting a belief of hope. Yep.
Bingo, she nailed it.
That's it. So should we give everyone a few tips on how to get out of what's not optimism? Or I haven't done any homework on this or written any notes, so I'm just throwing myself under the bus here as well as
totally, because I did all the talking last time, so it's your turn to do all the talking this time, and she flips the bus back around and handballs it.
Oh dear. Well, just to deflect the conversation, what do you guys think of our new screen? Woohoo!
She's buying time. Don't fall for it.
Right, I'm thinking. All right.
I think you know, a lot of people, and a lot of people have gone through some sort of trauma in their life or some sort of healing process, or they might be going through it now, or, you know, years ago. But so optimism might not be something that you really think about. You know, you're happy about this, or you're unhappy, or you're pissed off, or you're angry. You can think of 1,000 negative emotional things, but you're either happy or you're not. You know what I mean? So I think being able to, and we talked about it last time, is being able to identify something that you do feel joy and happiness about, and then go, okay, how can I mimic that information? How can I mimic that emotion into other areas of my life? I really love when I go to the gym. don't love when I have to mow the lawn. So can I do something? How is the gym making me feel? Why do I feel like that when I go to the gym? Is it because I'm not thinking about anything else, or because I've got my music on? Now, we can fix that and mimic that by mowing the lawn, because just stick your earphones in and listen to music. Or I can not talk to anybody else, or not worry about what Terry's doing while I'm mowing the lawn. He might be doing the whippersnipping. Just let him go. He can whippersnip himself mad. So how are we going to mimic that optimism or optimistic feeling, or that joy or happiness that I feel in one area of my life, and bring that into different areas? So that could
you
be
could you could do a squat every time you turn the mower. A lunge. You could do the entire lawn by lunging. 1 foot. Lunge the next foot.
I could bicep curl the lawnmower.
You could.
But we need to wrap it up. I want to go mow the lawn.
Well, I guess my advice is to once again feel into it, and perhaps if you're in a situation where old fears are coming up because you've done something before, or some old emotional responses is coming up from another time, which is what happened with me this morning. You've got to kind of feel into a time when it worked out well. And that I think gives you the other perspective, because as you know, I'm all about perspective and shifting that into a new possibility. And when you're not in optimism, when you're not feeling good about something or not feeling optimistic about it, where was another time that was similar? And this is similar to with your analogy of the lawn and the gym. When's another time where it did work out, and maybe change your perspective to that, and not focus on what failed? So it's just shifting the feelings, your feelings.
And we see this a lot in the corporate world as well. We might take a team, Tom, Dick and Harry, and Tom, Dick and Harry are the salespeople, and they're going to try methodology A. Methodology A does not work for Tom, Dick and Harry. And we're not really sure why it doesn't work for them. So we give it to Susie, Judy and Jody, and they smash methodology A. That doesn't mean that they're better salespeople. They just come at it from a different experience, from a different idea. Or Tom, Dick and Harry have tried methodology A 1,000 times. It doesn't freaking work. We're sick to death of going through this shit. Whereas the girls over here, it's not a gender thing. They were just names I came up with. But the girls over here have never done it before. They're new to sales. Or they're thinking, you know what, it didn't work before, but I didn't have Jody on my team, and Jody brings this to the table. So I wonder what we can do to tweak methodology A so it's different. Or there could just be the fact that Tom, Dick and Harry did this 20 years ago, and now in their 40s, they've got a completely different set of values, and they smash it this time because their life experiences come into it. So it could just be that you need to, it just because it didn't work in the past doesn't mean it's not going to work now. What have you learned from that experience? What can you glean from it or take away from, did it not work last time because you had 3 kids under 5 under your feet and you stretched yourself too far? Or did it not work last time because you were just in a really shitty place and this is 10 years down the track and you're in this mindset of, exactly, and you're in this mindset of now of, you know what, I've got nothing to fucking lose. I'm just going for it. So
just go for it.
Exactly. So it's it can be lots of different things around, why something didn't work. I've had 3 relationships not work.
You're still optimistic for the 4th one.
I was optimistic for the 4th one. And you kind of need to take all those lessons with you, but you kind of need to park it at the door.
You really do.
And not let them impact your future,
That's the thing, and I guess that's about facing your fears, not faking optimism, and that's really because even if you haven't done something before, the fears of criticism and judgment and all that kind of stuff come up for people as well.
Yeah.
But as I say to my clients, nothing is ever missing. Nothing is ever missing. If you're moving forward with something you've never done before, and you think that you're not going to get that feeling or whatever you want to get from it, then you'll be missing that feeling. Well, tune into where you already have that feeling and go ahead anyway, and not expect it from the outcome, because that's the other thing, isn't it? We put so much pressure on ourselves for, the pink box and the blue ribbon to arrive, and it doesn't arrive. We just think,
my life is ruined. The universe.
Yeah, when really it's kind of on the other doorstep, in a yellow box. So yeah, I think the optimism, it's an interesting word. I really find it interesting because it can't really be forced, like positivity. I don't think you can have false positivity either.
No.
You can't have it forced or fake, because it's not real then.
No. Yeah.
So
if you think about optimism, what color do you think about?
Oh, yellow, like our logo here.
Yeah. It's the sunflowers, all the yellow things.
Yeah, it's joy. Optimism is joy and happiness and freedom. And that I think is what scares a lot of people moving forward with optimism, because they've had those situations in life where they weren't happy, joyful, all the rest of it. And that will stop that optimism sometimes. But you've got to make your own, don't you? I mean, we can be optimistic as soon as we wake up in the morning and just be curious with life and find joy in everything that comes. Or you can wake up in the morning and go, right, I'm optimistic that this thing is going to show up, and then by lunchtime it hasn't, and you lose your optimism. So it's once again it's about outcome.
Yeah.
So, but I've also seen optimistic people that aren't overly happy. Right. So you don't have to be a joyful, in your face smiling kind of person. You can, because there are people who have their own thing. Like, now, how can I describe it? Let's say people who are very business driven, and they do a deal or they take a loan out for $1 million, they're optimistic they're going to pay it back because they know they have the skill, they know they have everything in place to do that. But that doesn't make them necessarily a happy person.
That makes them a stressed person.
They're just very good at what they do, and so they're optimistic about the outcomes, right?
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to have that yellow glow. But obviously, everybody's got different areas in their life that they're good at, and that are easy.
Yeah.
Easy to be optimistic about some things, and other things are a struggle.
Yeah. See, I'm glad that you raised that, because I'm really good at what I do in my commercial job, and I've always taken businesses and turned them around, turned them into a profit, and then given them back. And I've done it for a very long time, and I'm very good at it, and I'm very successful with it. But it's not, and I was talking to Trish about this a little while ago. It doesn't fulfill me. It's not. Yeah, I'm good at it.
It's not making you happy. It doesn't bring you joy.
It doesn't, and I'm optimistic about my skill base. I know how good it is. I've seen it in action. I'm optimistic about what I bring to the table, about what I can do and how quickly I can turn it around and give the reins back and off they go. I'm optimistic about the teaching that I give businesses so they can do that and continue it. So it's mimicking duplication of tasks and policies and procedures, and they can continue to do that. So when I walk out the door, they don't go kaput. But it doesn't bring me joy. It is a job. It really is something that I'm very good at, because I was 19 years of age when I bought my first company, and I was arrogant and ignorant and bullheaded, and I wanted to do everything in my freaking way, and I learned the hard way a lot of the time. So I know what not works in business and what does work and how quickly things can do, and I can identify trends. Is it my purpose? Fuck no, it's not. I know it's not, because it doesn't bring me joy. I don't jump up out of bed every morning and go, woo, work day, baby. I go, woo, gym day, bitches, get out of my way. That's what brings me joy. Do I want to work in the gym? No way, because that's a hobby. I don't want to do that either. But I know that the things that you are great at does not necessarily bring you joy, and I'm not going to feel optimistic about the joy that the actual physical job brings me, because it doesn't. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And see, I have no optimism at all about going to the gym. I would definitely have to face that. I'd have to face that one.
There's a lot of good-looking men in the gym.
Oh, well, they wouldn't. Well, I guess they would see me on the floor going, I can't do it anymore after a 1 minute run on the treadmill.
Bring the defib. Bring it.
I'd need it. I could pull the age card for a little while, but not for too long.
But somebody good looking might give you CPR. You should be optimistic that you could get CPR from some strapping looking boy.
Oh, I probably would be optimistic about that, but not optimistic that I would survive the event.
You know what? I'd probably get a smelly, sweaty one if that happened to me. I'd get the smelliest guy in the gym.
With morning breath.
And full sweat that goes on forever. Yeah.
Oh, dear. So have you guys got any questions? Sorry. Having a little throat chakra moment.
I'm thinking throat chakra.
So have you guys got any questions? We've got about seven people watching. Have you guys got any questions you want to ask us? We can bring you on screen if you do, because we have that capability now. It's very exciting. So fire a question at us. Because, oh, hey, Lee, how you going? So, yeah, so have you guys, if you've been having, February's been really weird. I thought it was kind of going to be better than January, but it's been really funky. So if you guys have got any questions about how to bring yourself into optimism, if something's happening for you, let us know. And we'll endeavour, we'll be very optimistic in knowing the answer.
February has been weird, hasn't it? There's been some real moments of just absolute confusion and absolute.
Yeah, it hasn't been good. Hasn't been good at all.
I mean,
and retrograde's over, but it's still the technology is very funky today for me again.
Yeah, still in shadow phase. So it's just what's today, 24. So yeah, it's on the other side of shadow, but it's
been a hard one.
It's been a very difficult month. And I kind of said last year it's really going to get to about March before we start feeling normal again. And lo and behold, Sydney people, we get to dance, people. There's a time to dance, and it will be this Friday night. Woo-hoo.
Ah, nice.
So, yeah. I will be grabbing my nearest and dearest friends. Look, even friendships have broken down. Relationships have strengthened. Terry and I have just gone through some major changes in February, and it's just strengthened our relationship. And we were pretty strong before. We sort of did a bit of a roller coaster late last year, but and all those Aquarian planets that are going on and all the placements, not so much planets, but all the placements in Aquarian. Aquaria is the friendship part of astrology. So if you have you need the 4 pillars in your relationship, and Aquarian is definitely one of them. Aquarius is definitely one of them. And having so many planets in there, it just strengthened some already strong bonds. And I noticed that my bond with Terry had been exponentially strengthened. And one of my girlfriends is having a rough trot at the moment, and her and I are, tight peas in a pod. So really looking after each other and making sure that we're comfortable and we're safe. And whatever she's going through, I can actually resonate with, and whatever I'm going through, she can resonate with. So it's strengthening a lot of friendships, and I think we're still chucking out some stuff that's not working for people as well. But I can't say that I've enjoyed February. I can't say I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think there's some relationships still breaking down as well, and I guess it's ultimately all about everyone finding the truth, I guess, of who they are.
Yeah. And we're all being shifted to a higher vibration too. So people that are used to growth, they're just going to like ding, 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 Pac-Man all the way up the top, to whatever that top level is for them, wherever they're supposed to be sitting for this leveling up spiritual thing that we're all going through. Other people who are not used to growth are struggling a little bit with that. Some of them say, I'm not changing, and partnerships are pulling apart because you outgrow one another, or one of you grows and the other one doesn't. And similarly, and I don't mean just, boyfriend, girlfriend, but all relationships are going through that. And some people that have never really thought about growth and spiritual growth and a deeper understanding, all this stuff around the vaccine and all the research that people are now having to do, so they've got a pro-choice and pro-informed, it's really making people less resistant to going out there and working it out for themselves and empowering themselves as far as knowledge is concerned. So they're growing in a different way. So it's been
that's definitely Aquarian energy, though, isn't it? That's Aquarian energy really being, and Aquarian energy is very optimistic as well.
I love it. If you're like, drunk as a skunk and you're looking for someone to talk to on a rooftop, find yourself an Aquarian, just like, lived in Aquarius. And they will say, because they're crazy people, and then grab them, kidnap them if you have to, it's not against the law anymore, and take them to a rooftop with a falafel wrap and just talk about whatever crazy shit pops in your head. They're the most interesting star sign, I think, or sun sign that you will ever come across.
Yeah,
they're very interesting.
It. Yeah. So we've got Lee. So Lee's saying we've had friendships form, relationships, including myself, my husband, strengthen, loving her studies, but she's had her health and stress and poor sleep. Oh my God, poor sleep. Yes, I can relate to that. Poor sleep. It's just been awful.
Yeah, I actually got out of bed at 7 o'clock this morning, and that doesn't sound bad.
That's late for you.
That's 4 hours after I normally get up. I'm normally functioning out the door, ready to go. I don't get out of bed at 7, not even on the weekends. And then other nights I'll just lay there like I'm fully wired, like someone's slipped too many happy pills in my coffee or something. And it's just been all over the place. Only February though. I didn't have this. Well, I'm kind of hoping it's only February. I can't do another month of this shit. I've got back out of my eyes.
Well, it's March next week, so let's be optimistic that whatever February was will lift, and we can all just
march on into
sleep.
March.
Awesome.
Right. I think we're all done.
I think so. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and hopefully you're loving the beautiful, joyful, optimistic yellow and our smiling faces. I don't know what we're talking about next month. We're going to surprise you. So there we go.
I don't have my list on my wall.
No, I've got it here somewhere. We know what we're talking about, but we're going to surprise you.
We have. There'll be a pop quiz.
It'll be a pop quiz. Awesome.
Thank you very much for coming, and it was lovely seeing you, and nice to see you back. How's little Rosie now? You didn't elaborate. Is she all right?
Rosie's okay now, and I was very worried about it because she was having, those moments with her legs just falling away. So, I'm thinking seizures and brain tumours and all that kind of stuff. They didn't find anything at the vets. And then just before I went to Canberra, I went over to my friend's place and told her what was happening, and she said that she had a friend whose dog was the same, and every now and again his back legs would just go out from under him as he was walking. And she said it was something to do with the receivers in the brain going to the nerves of the legs. It was like a miscommunication. And so with Rosie standing there looking very confused and not moving, she's probably telling her legs to move, but they're not moving.
Oh, wow.
So like some whatever that connection is. And so it hasn't happened. Well, I haven't seen it happen again since I've been back.
She needed to reset her modem or her motherboard or something. Oh,
maybe.
How scary would that be?
She is 12 now. And I mean, the thing is, it only lasted for 5 minutes or so, because obviously by the time I get to the vet, she's as good as gold.
You look like a crazy lady.
So I wasn't as crazy. I wasn't as crazy the second time because I knew it wasn't a tick. So it's only 5 or 10 minutes. So it could be happening, but I haven't noticed it since I've been back. So, but I won't panic as much next time unless she doesn't recover in the 10 minutes. Yeah.
I'll share this because it's hilarious but somewhat embarrassing. Caesar was making sure that he had the cleanest whistle in the south, okay? And it had swollen up quite a bit, and I'd never seen it that big. So I jumped on Google first because it was like, 5 o'clock in the morning. I just got home from the gym. And I jumped on Google, and the first thing you see is that they might lose their doodles because it swelled up so much, and then it does something to the tissue and they won't be able to use it, and that presents a whole bunch of problems. They bring you the worst thing ever first, right? So I'm like, yes. That's the baby. So scoop up this 54-kilo dog, take him down the vet. I said, my doggy's doodle won't go back in. I don't know how the vet kept a straight face, but he said to me, it's okay. This happens quite a bit. It'll be all right. I'll fix it. Go away. Literally 2 seconds and $400 later, Caesar comes back out. He's doodled away. He's happy as rain. I'm going to pay $400. And I'm so the next time that happened, which a couple of weeks later, I said to Terry, babe, it happened again. His doodle's swelling up. So Terry goes and gets a bag of frozen peas and a tea towel, puts it on him. It goes straight back in. I'm like, why didn't you think of this before?
Oh, dear.
So I know all about the crazy trips to the vet and looking like a crazy lady because I've done it several times myself.
Oh, and then costing you a fortune to
Yeah. But what do you do though? They can't say I've got a headache or my leg's sore or my doodle will go back in if I stop cleaning it every 25 seconds of the day.
Yeah, that's it. Someone probably needed to hear that because it's going to happen to their dog. So
exactly right. See, be optimistic that their doodles do go back in.
Absolutely.
On
that optimistic note.
Just as the red rocket, my sister had a similar thing happen with her boy.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Red rocket. Yeah, that's it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that little banter we've had, and we'll see you next time.
We will indeed. Bye, guys.
And that's a wrap for this episode of A Guided Life, proudly sponsored by Holistic Bliss Magazine, and you can find them at www.holisticblissmagazine.com. And don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss an episode.
Join our online community. Look for A Guided Life on Facebook or see the links below. Private readings, coaching and mentoring are available. See our bios and check our page on Facebook for more details. Till next time.
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.